and welcome to Tech Explorer. I hope you are doing well. So in this video, we are going to learn about Python loops in detail. So when you are working with data in Python, the loops can be a powerful tool, but they can also be a little bit confusing when you are just starting out. So in this tutorial, we are going to dive headfirst into loops and learn how they can be used to do all sorts of interesting things when you are doing data cleaning or data analysis in Python. But before that, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe so that you can get more tutorials in Python and you can take your journey from the basic to the advanced level in a very simple manner. So let's start. So let's see what is a loop in Python. So generally the statements, they are executed sequentially in a program. The first statement is executed first, followed by the second and the third, and so on. So there may be a situation when you need to execute a block for a specific number of times. And programming languages, they provide various control structures that allow for more complicated execution paths. A loop statement allows us to execute a statement or a group of statements multiple times. And loops are used in programming to repeat a specific block of code. Now let's see what is the basic flow of execution in Python loop. So this is a flow diagram, and in every loop you will have a condition check at the very beginning of the loop. And if the condition is true, then a conditional code will get executed, and if it becomes false, then you will exit from the loop. So loops, they iterate over a given sequence that gets executed only if the condition is true. And the conditional code will continue its execution till the condition is true. That means till the condition will remain true, your conditional code will get executed. Once it becomes false, you will just simply exit from the loop. Now we will see the different types of loops in Python. So Python programming language, it provides the following types of loops to handle the looping requirements. The first one is the while loop. So while loop will repeat a statement or group of statements while a given condition is true. It will test the condition before execution of the loop body. Then we come to the for loop. So for loop, it executes a sequence of statements multiple times and abbreviates the code that manages the loop variable. And nested loops. Nested loop means a loop within a loop. So you can use one or more loop inside another while loop or a for loop or a do while. So let's see the while loop in detail. So what is a while loop? So the while loop in Python, it is used to iterate over a block of code as long as the test expression or the condition is true. So we generally use this loop when we don't know the number of times to iterate beforehand. So if you don't know how many times you have to repeat the sequence of code, then you simply use a while loop. And syntax of the while loop will be, you use the keyword while and give a test expression, which is the check condition, and if that condition is true, then your body of while loop will get executed. Now let's see the operation of while loop, how the while loop executes. So this is a flow diagram of the while loop. So you enter the while loop, there will be a test expression or simply a check condition, and if that condition is true, then the body of the while loop will get executed. And again it will return back to the test expression. Once this check becomes false, you will simply exit out of the while loop. So just remember that when you don't know that how many times you have to repeat the sequence of code from beforehand, simply use a while loop. Simply enter that while loop, check the condition. If your condition is true, your body of the while loop will get executed, and if it is false, it will exit the loop. So your while loop will execute a set of statements as long as the condition is true. So let's see an example of Python's while loop. So here you will print I as long as I is less than 6. You initialize a variable I with the value 1, and in the while loop you put a check condition. While I is less than 6, you have to print I, and then you are incrementing I. So what you are going to get the output, you will be getting all the numbers from 1 to 5. So remember to increment I, or else the loop will continue forever. The while loop requires the relevant variables to be ready. In this example, we need to define an indexing variable I, which is said to be 1. Now let's see what all options we have with the while loop. So the very first is the break statement. So with the break statement, we can stop the loop even if the while condition is true. So here you are initializing the variable I with the value 1 and putting a check in the while loop, that is while I is less than 6, you're printing the value of I. And if I becomes equal to 3, then you're simply breaking the loop. That means you are telling the loop to stop its execution and exit. So in the output you're getting 3 values, 1, 2 and 3. So the second we come with the continue statement. So with the continue statement we can stop the current iteration and continue with the next. So here in the while loop you are putting a condition, that is while I is less than 6, you are incrementing I and you are telling that if I becomes equal to 3, you simply continue. And when you're printing the value of I, you are getting 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6. Just see here, your value 3 is not getting printed. Now we come to the else statement. So with the else statement, we can run a block of code once the condition no longer is true. So here in this example, while I is less than 6, you're printing I, you're incrementing I, and once this condition becomes false, you come to the else block and you print I is greater than 6. So here in the output, you are getting 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and while once this I value gets greater than 6, you simply come to the else block and the statement I greater than 6 will get printed. Now let's see the for loop in Python. So what is a for loop? The for loop in Python is used to iterate over a sequence, that is a list, a tuple or a string or any other iterable objects. When you are iterating over a sequence, it is called traversal. So let's see the syntax of for loop. For val in sequence, your body of the for loop. So here val is the variable that takes the value of the item inside the sequence on each iteration. Now let's see the flow diagram of the for loop, how the for loop operates. So here in the beginning of the for loop, for each item in the sequence, you're traversing the sequence, remember. So you're checking, has the last item reached? If no, then you're again going to execute the body of the for loop, and if yes, then simply exit the loop. Now let's see the examples of for loop in Python. So here you are having a list of fruits, and that you are having apple, banana and cherry. Now you are using the for loop to traverse through each of the item of that list. So you are using for x in fruits, you are printing the value of x. And here x is the variable that is taking the values of each of the item of that list. So in the output, you are going to get apple, banana and cherry. Now we come to the range function. So to loop through a set of code a specified number of times, we can use the range function. And the range function, it returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0 by default and increments it by 1, that's also by default, and ends at a specified number of times. So here for x in range 6, you're printing the value of x. Note that range 6 is not the values from 0 to 6, it is the values from 0 to 5. So you're going to get the output as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So let's see certain other examples of range function. For x in range 2, 6. So the range function, as I told you earlier, it defaults to 0 as a starting value. However, it is possible to specify the starting value by adding a parameter. So here in this example, in range 2, 6, it means the values from 2 to 6, but not including 6. Now let's see another example of the range function. Here you are passing 3 values. So the range function, it defaults to increment the sequence by 1. However, it is possible to specify the increment value by adding a third parameter. So here in this example, we are telling the for loop to go from 2 to 30, excluding 30, and then incrementing the sequence with 3, where 1 was the default. Now let's see the various options with for loop. So the very first is the break statement. So with the break statement, we can stop the loop before it has looped through all the items. So here in the example, we are telling the loop to exit when the value of x is equal to banana. So here you're having a list of fruits, that is apple, banana and cherry, and you're using for x in fruits and you're printing the value of x. And when x becomes equal to banana, you're using a break statement. That means the loop will stop its execution. So here you're going to get the output as apple and banana. Now we come to the continue statement. So with the continue statement, we can stop the current iteration of the loop and continue with the next. So here in this example, you're having a list of fruits, apple, banana and cherry, and for x in fruits, if x becomes equal to banana, you simply continue. That means you do not print banana. You're only getting apple and cherry as the output. Now we come to the else statement. So the else keyword in a for loop, it will specify a block of code to be executed when the loop is finished. So for x in range 4, you're printing x, that is all the values from 0 to 3. And once your loop gets finished, you're going to the else block and simply printing done. Now we come to the nested loops. So a nested loop is simply a loop inside a loop. So the inner loop, it will get executed one time for each iteration of the outer loop. So here is an example where you are having a list of adjectives, that is red and big, and a list of fruits, that is apple and banana. So you are using a for loop for x in adjective list, that is the outer loop. You're using another loop inside, that is for y and fruits, and you are printing both the values of x and y. So you are getting the output as red apple, red banana, big apple and big banana. Now we come to the pass statement. So for loops, they cannot be empty, but if you for some reason have a for loop with no content, then simply put in the pass statement to avoid getting an error. So here is a for loop for x in the list 0 to 0, 1 and 2. You're having no content, so you simply put a pass statement so that you don't get any error. So this was all about the loops in Python, and if you have any query, any doubt, do let me know through the commenting below. I hope you have enjoyed my video. Please like and subscribe my channel so that you can get more tutorials in Python and you can take your journey to the advanced level. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.